Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and I could not be more excited to showcase my very first Konami exclusive archetype. I just haven't seemed to have received it yet. It's a bit crazy, right? Hey, Kazuki? Yeah, no, I know you're busy. Yeah, sure, I'll hold. Hello? Two-word, my man! Oh, the clown gas thing? No, that's just a big joke! Hello?
To speak to a customer support representative, say customer support.
Customer support.
Is this MVT? Quit calling this number. Bye-bye.
I'm sure it's just lost in the mail. But while Konami seems to have forgotten about their favorite content creator, MBT, they've also forgotten about an archetype they printed 9 cards for in BLVO. I am speaking, of course, about the red-headed stepchild of the set, SPRINGANS. So I figured, why not make lemonade out of lemons and preview them myself? We'll begin with the lore, which I have absolutely no understanding of. To that end, I give you our resident lore expert, GoldenNovaYugioh. GoldenNova, what the hell is a SPRINGAN?
So, SPRIGGUNS are a bunch of soot people that have possessed military hardware, and they're wandering around the desert.
Okay, still with you.
We don't know why they're there or what they're doing, but we do know they're friends with the Tri-Brigade because they hang out with Kit.
Uh-huh.
They find Albaz and Ecclesia wandering around the vast deserts of GOLGONDA, and they immediately think they're part of Dogmatica because, well, one of them was a figurehead of the church that was trying to take over the world.
Who the fuck is Ecclesia?
They chase them down, capture them, but then Kit vouches for them. Then a giant serpent bursts out of the sands and tries to kill all of them. But then the power of friendship happens, Albaz gains a new form, they shoot lightning at it, and then that's about it.
Ugh, lore. First you want me to read the cards, and now you want me to infer things about them? If I had critical thinking skills, I'd be playing Magic the Gathering. Anyway, let's talk about gameplay. Every SPRINGANS game begins with their field spell, which seems to be loosely modeled on one of my favorite series of all time, Henry Chrisman's compilation of the essential works of Lenin. Dune. It's Dune. Great Sand Sea, Gold Golgonda, and you're going to have to trust me in terms of the TCG naming conventions. We don't have high-quality scans yet of these cards because all we have so far is box openings. I'm sure my box is somewhere in the UPS system, is the field spell for this archetype. Now, it has a ton of effects. The first is that all SPRIGGUNS Xyz monsters gain 1,000 attack. The second and third you can only use once per turn. This is a hard once per turn as well, so if you play additional copies, it doesn't matter. If you control no SPRIGGUNS Xyz monsters, you can discard one SPRIGGUNS card to special summon one SPRIGGUNS Xyz monster from your extra deck, and if a face-up Xyz monster you control leaves the field by card effect, except during the damage step, you can target one monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack for the rest of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. So it helps you cheat out their tribal Xyz, and it protects your life points when the tribal Xyz banishes itself as per its own effect. Now, as of now, there's only one SPRINGANS Xyz. SPRINGANS ship X-Blower. X-Blower. Let's just go to the next slide. Look, I know this looks comprehensible, but I promise you they added another R to X-Blower. SPRINGANS ship X-Blower has 2 effects, the second of which we'll examine first. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, as a quick effect, you can banish this card until the end phase. This not only procs Gold Golgonda, but also acts like Omega, keeping it safe until your next turn. Its first effect is much more interesting. You can choose one of your opponent's monster zones or spell and trap zones, detach any number of materials from this card, and if you do, destroy the same number of cards your opponent controls in the chosen zone and its adjacent monster zones and or spell and trap zones. If you're having a difficult time conceptualizing what that explosion would look like, here's a visual aid. Like Burning Abyss, each SPRINGANS monster has 2 effects, one of which they share with the entire archetype. If this card is in your hand, field, or graveyard, you can target one SPRINGANS Xyz monster you control and attach this card to it as material. In this way, the individual monsters, or shells, can load themselves underneath the SPRINGANS ship. Of course, each individual monster has its own unique effect as well. SPRINGANS Rocky, if it's normal or special summoned, can target a SPRINGANS monster or the field spell in your graveyard and add it to your hand. SPRINGANS PEDE, or as I like to call him, PEDE, can be tributed to target a SPRIGGUNS monster in your graveyard and special summon it. To borrow some more from GoldenNova, this forms a sort of Seer Dante loop with SPRINGANS Rocky. PEDE specials back Rocky, and Rocky adds back PEDE. SPRINGANS Branga Spranga? Are you kidding me? We missed out on Banger? Okay. Can be banished from the graveyard alongside a SPRINGANS monster with a different name in order to add a SPRINGANS card from your deck to your hand. This is an extremely easy condition to fulfill, so you should consider this the Stratos of the archetype. SPRINGANS Captain Sargus, oh my god, they actually got one right, has two extremely powerful effects. Alongside its normal SPRINGANS effect, during your opponent's turn as a quick effect, you can detach a material from a monster you control, then target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. This means that not only is your ex-Blowerer going to be able to dodge opponent's card effects, it's also sort of a Trident. Additionally, if this is the monster tucked under a SPRINGANS Xyz you control, that monster gains 500 attack. Now, no 2020 deck is complete without its searcher, and SPRINGANS has an insane one. SPRINGANS Watch is, put simply, busted. It adds GOLGONDA from your deck to your hand, or if you've already got the field spell, you can apply the following effect. Add a SPRINGANS monster from your deck to your hand, and send a SPRINGANS monster from your deck to the graveyard. I shouldn't have to tell you that Terraforming, Rhoda, and Foolish Burial all on the same card is insane. Finally, we should talk about their traps. I guess. SPRINGANS Blast, if you control a SPRINGANS monster, allows you to choose one opponent's main monster zone, or two if you control a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Abaz as material. If a face-up monster is in that zone this turn, it can't attack directly, and its effects are negated, and if no monster is in that zone, it can't be used this turn. And SPRINGANS Call allows you to target a SPRIGGUNS monster or a Fallen of Abaz in your graveyard and special summon it. Then during either player's turn, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it and one fusion monster from your graveyard, then target one SPRIGGANS Xyz monster you control, attach one fusion monster that lists Fallen of Abaz as material from your extra deck to the targeted monster as material, and you can only use both of these cards once per turn. These aren't very good. You know, you're allowed to play Fiendish Chain and Call of the Haunted, right? And finally, we've been dancing around it, but there is one additional monster in this archetype. I just don't think it's going to see any play just yet. SPRIND the Iron Dash Dragon is a fusion monster that consists of Fallen of Abaz and one effect monster that was special summoned this turn. During your main phase, you can move this card you control to another of your main monster zones, then destroy all other face-up cards in this card's column. And like Titanclad, during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add to your hand or special summon one SPRINGANS monster or Fallen of Abaz from your deck. This card isn't powerful yet, but gets very good when Merrymaker comes out in the next wave of SPRINGANS support. And finally, if you're looking for a potential deck list, you have come to the right place! Though I would advise you should come back to this place when we have the next set. The archetype is clearly unfinished at the moment, and as a result, it's going to be very underpowered. We are lacking not only Merrymaker and its ability to use the fusion monster whatsoever, we are lacking an additional searcher for Vast Desert Gold Golgonda, and arguably the most powerful of the main deck Spriggans. Well, no matter, we can still put together something using the cards we currently have. This build aims to, when going first, set up an X-Blower with the ability to tag out alongside a Captain in order to pop your opponent's cards. If you're going second, you can use X-Blower to clear your opponent's field before attacking in, and then in main phase 2, equipping a Spriggans from the graveyard and making Zeus, a card that everybody loves. And because we're using Vast Desert Gold Golgonda to cheat out Xyz monsters, we don't necessarily need our normal summon. For that reason, we can spend it on, and this is a little clunky, but Planet Pathfinder. This card searches field spells, and though it does so at the cost of your normal, we don't care too much. So that's that. Big shouts out to GoldenNovaYugioh for doing this on such short notice. A link to their channel is in the description. I highly recommend you check them out. Please don't sue me, Konami, and I leave you with this.
Change the world. My final message.